The Witch and the Definitely Dead Detective by Sadie Brent, Chapter 13, Secrets in the Shadows. The room felt charged, almost electric, as Evie stood frozen by the desk. The ghostly man, James Edgar, as he had introduced himself, hovered there with an air of practiced calm, though his translucent form shimmered faintly like sunlight on water. For a long moment, the only sound was the faint tick of a clock somewhere in the shop. Evie swallowed hard, her mind racing between disbelief, terror, and a strange, budding curiosity. She clutched Spinks closer, though the cat hardly seemed fazed. If anything, he looked rather smug as he curled contentedly in her arms. "You expect me to believe you're a ghost?" she said, her voice pitched high with nerves. "That you've just been, what? Hanging around Lizzie's shop? Writing books? That's insane." James raised one brow in a manner that was almost smug, his hands folded neatly behind his back. "Insane, perhaps, but true, and I'd appreciate it if you kept your voice down. We might not have neighbors, but there's no need to startle the mice." Evie blinked. "The mice?" He smiled faintly. "Figurative, mostly." She took a deep breath, glancing around the shop as though the solid wood shelves and dusty rows of books might somehow anchor her to reality. "Okay, fine. Let's say I don't call Joe and report a trespasser." "Sheriff Joe would be skeptical at best," James interrupted, brushing a translucent hand over his equally spectral vest. "And at worst, you'd earn yourself a reputation in town. Best to leave the ghost business between us, don't you think?" Evie's eyes narrowed. "Convenient. But fine, for now, say I believe you. Why are you here? And why did you just pop out of nowhere when I found this desk and that book?" She gestured toward the Crypto Arcanum, now sitting innocently on the desk as though it weren't the most unnerving object she'd ever touched. James sighed and gave her a level look. "I've been here for years, decades in fact. I was a detective in this town before my untimely demise, but my story isn't the important one tonight." It feels pretty important to me." "Yes, well," he said, sounding faintly amused, "I'll grant you a few more details. Lizzie and I were kindred spirits, you might say. I'd known her since I was a young man, long before she opened Silver Sage Naturals. We were friends. She wrote books. I had a knack for solving mysteries. It made for a productive partnership." "Wait, you're saying you co-wrote Lizzie's books?" He gave her a ghost of a smile. "I am." Evie sank into the nearest chair, trying to wrap her mind around this. She'd known Lizzie was an author, but this revelation felt staggering. "You wrote the mysteries with her. After you died?" "It seemed a waste to let death stop me," James said simply with a grin. "Lizzie, bless her, had a knack for communicating with those on the other side. A gift it seems you inherited. We made a fine team." "Okay, but why are you still here? And what does this have to do with the book?" She pointed to the Crypto Arcanum. James's gaze flicked to the book, and his expression grew more serious. "That book is powerful, dangerous even in the wrong hands. It's been with Lizzie for many years, and now it's yours. It's a responsibility, Evie, not just a curiosity." Her throat tightened, and she glanced uneasily at the ornate cover with its strange empty slots. "You're not making this any easier, you know. Why shouldn't I open it?" "Because you may not be ready," he said simply. "The Crypto Arcanum doesn't give up its secrets lightly, and it's tied to things you can't even begin to understand yet. Lizzie knew that. She trusted you'd grow into it." "Grow into it?" Evie stood, her skepticism flaring up again. "I didn't ask for this, you know. Any of it. The shop, the house, the creepy book, or the cryptic ghost." "No," James agreed, his tone calm but firm. "But it's yours all the same. And like it or not, you were meant to have it. The book, the shop, the inheritance, it's all connected." She opened her mouth to argue, but the weight of his words and the unwavering steadiness of his gaze left her feeling unsettled. Somehow she knew he was telling the truth. "But why me?" she asked, her voice softer now. "I never even met Lizzie." "Because you're her blood," James said, "and because Lizzie trusted you'd find your way, even if she couldn't guide you herself." Evie sank back into her chair, feeling the exhaustion of the day and the conversation settling over her. She glanced again at the Crypto Arcanum, its dark leather gleaming faintly in the lamplight. Something about it seemed to hum with energy, as though it were waiting for her. "Fine," she said finally. "I won't open it. Not yet." James nodded, looking satisfied. Wise choice. Before she could ask him anything else, her phone buzzed on the desk. She jumped, startled by the sharp interruption, and saw Annie's name flashing on the screen. She shot James a wary look, but he merely stepped back, his translucent form fading slightly, as though giving her space. "Hey, Annie," she said, picking up. "Evie, finally! I've been dying to hear more about your ghost town, or whatever it is. How's everything going?" Evie glanced around the apartment, her gaze lingering on James, who was now inspecting a row of books, as though this were all perfectly normal. "Oh, you know, same old, except for the part where I may or may not have a ghost roommate now." "What?" Annie's voice rose an octave, but Evie quickly laughed it off. "Kidding, mostly. I'll explain when you get here." They chatted for a while, Annie's easy humor helping to ground her after the whirlwind of the evening. When the call ended, Evie leaned back in her chair, staring at the book once more. "I'm going to hold you to that promise of more answers," she said aloud. From across the room, James tipped an imaginary hat, his smile faint but warm. "And I'll deliver them. Tomorrow." Evie sighed, running a hand through her hair. "Great. My life is officially a paranormal soap opera." Evie set her phone down, her mind still spinning with everything she'd learned, or, more accurately, everything she still didn't understand. She glanced at James, who was now quietly thumbing through a spectral copy of The Hound of the Baskervilles on one of Lizzie's shelves, as though this entire encounter were just another evening for him. "Well," she said, standing and stretching, "this has been something. I guess I'll see you tomorrow?" James inclined his head with a small, knowing smile. "Rest well, Evie. Tomorrow brings clarity." "Does it?" she muttered under her breath, scooping up Spinks, who was already half asleep and purring contentedly in her arms. She couldn't help but feel that her world had tipped upside down, and it didn't seem like it was about to settle any time soon. Locking up the apartment and shop for the night, she stepped out into the cool, crisp air and made her way home to Lizzie's quirky purple house. Her footsteps echoed faintly on the quiet street as she replayed James' words in her mind. She couldn't deny the anxious twinge of anticipation bubbling within her. Whatever tomorrow held, more cryptic revelations no doubt, she was already bracing herself for it.